Hey, how's it going, everybody? So today, what I want to go through is looking at some websites that we've been observing and monitoring, and showing you some things that you can really adapt and put into your website to help improve the performance of your e-commerce store. So one of the really foundational things that we find as an issue for e-com brands, particularly when you're just starting out, below that 10K a month mark, or even up to that kind of 30K a month mark, is that there are some fundamental problems with the website and the functionality. When we start our ecom brands, when we are trying to make sales, we work so hard to drive traffic to our site, right? It's either organically or paid, through collaborations or ads. And when people arrive and they just don't convert on the site, it's honestly really heartbreaking because of all the effort that goes into that, right? Like, once you get them to the site, it should do its job from there. Now, everybody's going to have different conversion rates. We ideally want to see conversion rates above, 2.5, 3%. Us ourselves are running at kind of 8, 9%, and that's a lot to do with the intent of the traffic that we drive there. But there are some fundamental things that really need to be identified, and make sure that you've basically got nailed down specifically on your product pages. So that's what I want to go through today, your product pages. All right. So I want to show a few examples, and I'll just throw on my screen now, about really like what to do and what not to do. Now, a lot of the brands that I've picked out here, I'm just going to go through three examples here. And this is one that's kind of standing out that isn't essentially like as ideal as what we would like to have it, right? And so this is a really great brand. We've got some products ourselves from these guys, and there's a couple of things just this that really stand out to me, right? And so what they've done really, really well here is that what we call above the fold. So I guess the first section of screen without you actually having to scroll down is the most important thing. It's what people see. It's what they need to basically act upon when they actually do see it. Okay, so the first thing they've got right is that, right? The first thing they've got is that above the fold, they've got an add to cart, a picture of the product, what it is, the price, some credibility with some payment gateways and things like that. So that's really good. What I'd probably say about this, though, is the gap between that fold. So there's wasted space here. The size of the image too is probably, we'll have to check how it looks on mobile, but it's not as ideal as what it might be. Like, it's very clear cut, that's perfect, but there's a lot of dead space around it. So in effect, they could actually reduce this space here, have some more information above the fold, and just use that a little bit better so it's not kind of so big and like blown up. Okay, so that's probably the first thing I'd probably say about this. What they have done well, though, is, as I say, above the fold, they've got all the essential information, including a big bright call to action button. Now, this just happens to be, on brand for them. You can see the congruency between their colors, but I love the fact that this is really, really bright. Okay, that's one thing that people really do mess up, is that they want them to be, on brand, the color combinations, but sometimes their brand might be black and white, for example. It might be, like navy blues. It might be non-obvious colors. And so that's one thing I'd say that these guys have done really, really well, is that they have made that completely obvious, and it just so happens to be on brand. So that's perfect for them. Okay. The other sort of thing I would say about them that's not ideal, love the, short description. They've got links to the ingredients, is probably the length of the actual page. Okay. So this is kind of, as I was reading it, and I had to read it a few times because, I'm seeing this for, potentially the first time. And that's the hat that you have to have on, in terms of people are coming to your site for the first time. They have to understand it immediately. Okay. That's probably one thing that that stands out to me, is that it's not that user friendly. Now, this thing's kind of moving. I get that there's, no, if I get the right one, no drying alcohol, no artificial fragrances, no mineral oils, no things like that. But that's kind of distracting for me. That's really kind of off-putting. And so that's one thing that is a little bit off. And then with moving images, images and videos are great. One thing you just have to be really aware of is the load speed times of these pages. Okay, so we would definitely say, if that's going to impact on the page speed load time, you'd remove that rather than have it in. Okay, so I don't know what it's like for these guys. That's something worth checking out, but that's just a bit of a side note. So I like these headlines, suitable for why we love it, what it smells like, what it feels like. That's awesome. But again, there's big spaces in between, and you have to kind of keep scrolling through. And again, this thing kind of up there keeps moving. It's kind of distracting me a little bit. Again, big spaces, some great unique selling points here. That's perfect. Some great visuals. I love all this stuff, and some more ingredients. Obviously, that's what it scans down to. This is what's banned from our blender. I guess it's those artificial stuff that they're saying that they don't have in there, which is really good. When to use it. Again, this is good information, but very like large. And so it's kind of almost distracting at how big it is. So one thing is definitely the size. Then they jump into, complementary product, which is kind of flashing, which is okay, big bright colors. And then their reviews are right down, the bottom. And so one thing again about these guys is they might say how many reviews they've actually got, and make them a bit closer to the top, or at least readily available. You'd have how many reviews you've actually got up here, so that forms some sort of credibility. So if they had 1,000 reviews, that is immediate social proof. So that's one thing that they could potentially put up there. So what I want to do now is actually just go to a couple of others. One being Nike. Okay, now this is obviously a big brand. Okay, and so the best way that we can identify what's going to work, what's best practice and what's not, is looking at brands that literally invest millions of dollars per year into their digital assets. All right, so that's why I brought this example up. And so there are a couple of things in here that actually aren't ideal. So let's just jump into it. So look, above the fold, really good in the sense of, great visuals, a great video. Again, check the load speed time on that. But there's really no way from these visuals that you can't really understand what you're looking at or what you're buying. Right, so that's the first thing. What they could do here is they could actually do a bit of a sliding carousel. They could have, some smaller images down the bottom of the remaining images, but, it's okay that you kind of get the point in that above the fold. Obviously, they tell us exactly what it is, the cost, and, your color schemes as well, which is great. I mean, that's okay if they're exactly the same style. Sizes, add to bag. Now, this is kind of the thing that I spoke about before, right? So what they could do here, add to bag, is probably do the same color as that. Now, as I say, you might have to be pretty silly to miss the add to bag buttons and whatnot, but it does help. It does happen. Okay, and people kind of get annoyed that they can't find certain buttons, so they could obviously put that color in there. But other than that, it's okay. You obviously just have to scroll down to get some descriptions, and this is a feature that I really like here in the drop downs. All right, so drop down for more information. That's really good, because then you don't have to scroll down like we saw in the previous example. We have to keep scrolling to get the information that you actually want. Okay, so they're talking about the size and fit, the delivery terms, how was it made, ethically, what the materials are, etc., etc. This is really important information for people to know. And if they want to see it, you don't want them to be scrolling and getting lost, for minutes on end. They might just lose them completely. The reviews, again, I mean, they've only got 2 on this product, but again, how impressive is that to say how many reviews they've got, if they've got, 100 or 1,000, and to see obviously the rating. But the important thing here is that everything is basically within the one, you've got the top frame, but then you don't have to scroll too far to get all the other information. All right, so I would say that this is, a pretty good layout with a couple of, maybe a color scheme. They might even have the description as their own drop down as well, and that way the whole thing would be actually on the, the one section, but that's sort of completely fine. The other thing is with theirs, and again, taking into consideration they're a big brand, they've got all this stuff down the bottom that's a little bit, like, I would say, distracting but unnecessary. And if this was any other brand than Nike, I don't think it would be ideal at all. It's just the fact that they've got such a market share, they can almost do whatever they want in the sense of what they're, standing for. But this definitely isn't ideal, from their storage, their side of things. But the top bit, obviously, pretty much close to perfect. And again, very, very simple, right? So you can adopt that. One last example I want to show you is Frank Body. Now, this is a brand that we've personally finished, that we knew that the founders this, and we follow these guys from the very, very beginning. But they have done, a bang up job, pretty much a 10 out of 10 with what they're doing with their product pages, okay? And so as we can see, above the fold, really clear imagery. And if we just scroll down a touch, you can see more imagery of people actually using it. If we scroll across here, you can see a video plays automatically, but it's not the first one, so it doesn't auto play. So you can see more of that. You can see more of the user experience, the UGC. It's obviously, you know, model shots and things, but it gives you an idea of actually how to use it. Okay, so they've got the visuals down pat. They've got the above the fold down pat. They've got what it is, and right there, 4,559 reviews. You know, that is a big selling point in itself. The fact that they've got it right there, 5 stars. You know, $20, earn some points. There's obviously got some add-ons here, and then they've got the credibility of the checkout. So, you know, safe checkout, for example, using sort of Afterpay, right? A very short description so that things do stay above the fold. And then, you know, they've got some features as well. Add to cart. Again, that might be, you know, pink. Obviously, if you highlight it, it goes different color, which is great. But, you know, that could potentially be brighter as well, unless that kind of dark, you know, is complementing the, you know, or sorry, offsetting the white background sort of thing. So that's a couple of elements. And then they've got a quick little upsell here, and also stating that, you know, basically if you add this one and this one, it's going to get to $40 and you get free shipping. That's really, I guess, appealing to people. People love sort of free shipping. They're like, oh, it's only an extra, you know, $20, but I love free shipping. Okay, so that's one little thing that is added in there that's pretty nice. And then these drop downs again, right? So they've got their own branding, Inside Me being, you know, the ingredients, I'm guessing, but they're all drop downs nonetheless. Okay, and it shows you how to use it. It shows you the before and afters. Okay, so really, really solid social proofing. Now with this, below the fold, it's obviously more imagery and the drop downs, but then you just go bang into the reviews. Like, this is really, really powerful. And obviously you've got the Instagram links and a few other things here, a few little complementary products, but their initial page, this product page, is pretty much bang on, you know, 10 out of 10. All right, and so they're the things that I'll be looking at and advising you to take on board. You've got the above fold, so what people are actually looking at. Make sure all the essential information is actually in there. You've got really clear imagery and a variety of imagery as well as video, if it actually makes sense to do so. And then obviously what it is, reviews, as soon as you can actually show them, like this is literally right under the nose of what it actually is. You know, pricing and all that sort of thing, credibility around your checkouts, very short description, and add to cart button as obvious as possible. All right. And then from that, you know, an upsell right there isn't necessarily, you know, a great spot for it, but it shows you that right next to the cart. And also the free shipping is the point they're trying to make here. And then from there, the drop downs. All right. So this is really important that the information is condensed. People don't have to go anywhere else to get any more information. They just go add to cart and they're going to check out. And so they're the really important information gateways that you need to increase your conversion rate, you know, by up to 30%. We've seen this time and time again when somebody reconfigures their theme or they reconfigure some information. It really, really helps to simplify it for people. Again, you can't take for granted that people are seeing you for the first time. You can't take for granted that people know everything about you or anything about your product. You know, assume they basically know nothing and they're coming to your site for more information, hopefully to purchase, right? So look, I really hope that helps. You know, go through what your product pages look like, but they are some tips that we use for our website, for our clients' websites, and really crucial to increasing your conversion rate exponentially. So I hope that helps, and see you next one. Thanks.